On this episode of the Education Corner podcast, we are so pleased to welcome Mr. Joe Silvester, who is headmaster at Wetherby Senior School.
We're thrilled, Joe, to have you representing as headmaster of Wetherby Senior School on our Education Corner podcast today. We've obviously featured you in the magazine and I've been in to meet you last term, but we're keen to talk to you about how you're finding things as the new headmaster and to hear a little bit more about you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your career prior to joining Wetherby Seniors?
Yeah, sure. So hello, and thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm Joe Silvester, and I'm the still relatively new head of Wetherby Senior School. So prior to joining Wetherby, I came to Wetherby from Bancroft School, which is very academically selective co-educational day school just outside of London, out at Woodford Green. And I was a deputy head there. And prior to being at Bancroft's, I spent really quite a long time here in town at City of London School, the boys' school that's not very far from here. And at City of London School, I was variously a teacher, a head of department, a housemaster. I was an assistant head. I had responsibility for the delivery of teaching and learning, of the introduction of ed tech, and also oversight of the outreach and partnership programme. So coming here to Wetherby Senior School as an independent boys' school in the heart of town feels to me to be a very familiar move. And actually, I have to say, as the new headmaster, I feel that me and the school are a very good fit and are getting on very well so far.
Hand in a glove.
Exactly.
And how have you found your, well, it's now going into your second term, but certainly your first term since you joined?
First term and a half have been, honestly, they've been fantastic. I think the thing for me right from the start that has made such an impression is how welcoming the school has been to me as the new head, that the boys and the staff and the parents have all made me feel very, very welcome indeed. Through that first term, taking time to meet people and get to know them and then to understand the school, I felt that the kind of ideas at the heart of the school ethos and the kinds of people we want to develop here was very much reflected back to me in my interactions with the staff and the pupil and the parents. And that's a terrific place to be.
Excellent. And obviously you're very closely involved with the boys. I certainly know when I was there, you were doing practice interviews for their university placements. You've had a very hands-on approach. What, if any, changes do you hope to initiate in the academic year ahead?
I think it is very much the case that there are exciting times ahead for Wetherby. One of the things I'm particularly proud of already is that some of the changes I've initiated this year, I think reflect some of the things that I want to foreground in the education of Wetherby boys. I've already appointed a person to be in charge of our charity and fundraising activities, and I've already appointed a person to be our head of service learning. So a person to work across the school in looking for opportunities to work within our local community and across a wider range of groups. It's very important to me that those two aspects of being a thoughtful and responsible citizen are folded into the kind of education we offer here. We are in a wonderful location here in the centre of town, and we're fortunate to have some terrific facilities, both on-site and off-site. So it's really important to me that added on to that is a real sense of our engagement with the community and a sense for the boys of who they are and the world that they live in.
And tell me a little bit more, I'm sure parents will be keen to hear, as Wetherby is still, compared to some of the schools, a newer school on the block. What's the ethos that drives Wetherby Senior School?
For me, sitting at the heart of what we do is a sense of kindness in community. That we have for the boys in their printed materials and around the school, what we call our values wheel. And at the heart of that values wheel is effort and the sense that through one's own hard work and endeavours, you can succeed. And we talk to the boys then about ideas around character and respect and community. And it's an important thread that for me runs through communications and assemblies and the work that we do, that we are a community and we have a sense of shared endeavour and shared responsibility to one another. And I think that that focus probably is what I felt coming in the warmth of welcome and in the way that the boys and the staff interact with one another. And I think that's very powerful, actually. And it's a really inspiring place to be a part of.
There are three main points of entry. There's the 11 plus, 13 plus, and then 16 plus, sixth form. Could you just talk myself and also for parents listening through the application process for Wetherby Senior School?
Yeah, sure. I think for anybody who has already got started on the school choice journey, our application process hopefully will feel quite straightforward and quite familiar. The process of registering and then being assessed, and then provided the boy has done well enough being called to interview, will feel very similar to lots of other places. We use the ISEB testing platform for boys who want to come here. So lots of boys will sit that test in situ at their own prep school, but equally we offer hosted sessions. So boys who are coming to us from abroad or from primary schools, or whose situation means it would be better for them to come and sit their tests here, then we're happy to facilitate that. We have a really, I think, thoughtful and warm interview process, which I always say to parents isn't about a grilling, but is an opportunity for your son to get to know us and for us to get to know your son. When I speak with parents and they ask me about the school and they're coming round, it's always important to point out that it really doesn't matter if this is the first of their children they're looking for a school for, one of many children that they have, or perhaps the last in a long line that they'll be delighted to get placed in a school. Irrespective of the particular situation, each child is unique. And parents must, I think, remember that. And I want to work with them to find the right school for their child, that the school and the child and the parents will all ultimately work together. And so finding that right fit is really important. And I hope that our openness and transparency around that and my willingness to engage with people gives them a sense of who we are when they come to have a look round and they apply for their sons to join us.
What ideally are you looking for in a Wetherby Senior boy?
I think to suggest that we are looking for anything, a kind of recurring feature would be a slight misnomer. One of the things that I think is our great strength is our diversity. On the most recent open day in September, Max, the head boy, stood up and gave a terrific speech, and it was miles better than mine. And he's a far better salesman of the school than I'll ever be. But Max stood up and said to a very crowded room of parents, he said, there is no such thing as a Wetherby boy. And that's what's nice, that we are cut from different kinds of cloth, yet we're bound together in our identities by having come here and exceeded our expectations here, that they've done terrifically well as a group of boys. Max and his year group are one of our earliest year groups to come through the school. And they're really such terrific ambassadors for the Wetherby experience. I'm very, very proud of him and of them and of what they've achieved. So for parents who are looking and thinking what kind of boy comes here, I want a boy who has some independence of mind, who wants to engage, who is keen to learn. But it really isn't a feature, I don't think, to say, oh, we want to look for sporty boys or academic boys or extroverted boys or musical boys or artistic boys. We're actually a very broad and welcoming church. And I think that's a very compelling offer.
Excellent. And scholarships, bursaries, I know that you offer them and they are available to children and families who need additional financial support or in reward for children who are gifted in music and art. Can you tell me a little bit more about those?
Yeah, sure. So one thing that people might not necessarily know is that the school is part of a wider group of schools that are part of the Alpha Plus group. The Alpha Plus group has set up separately the Gold Standard Charitable Trust, and it's that charity that provides bursarial support for pupils who wish to come to the school. So we provide bursaries via the Gold Standard Charitable Trust for people who wish to come here and have a life-changing experience. We currently offer scholarships into the sixth form on an academic basis. And to perhaps lap back to one of your earlier questions, one of the things we're looking to introduce is a much more thoughtful scholarship program around things like music, for example, and provide for instrument tuition and to support the very best pupils across the creative arts.
In addition, your learning support for children with additional learning needs, your SEN department, can you tell me a little bit more about your provision there?
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Hanaway is our Senko, and I have to say I feel extremely fortunate as a head to be working with someone so professional and experienced as Michael. Michael really is a class act in terms of the provision of support for boys who require it. It is the case that boys have additional needs, and they come in all kinds of different forms. And whatever the additional needs of the pupil are, Michael ensures that they are met. But specifically, we work very hard to ensure they are met in class, and that boys' teachers adapt to meet their needs and ensure that the provision is correct.
Very good. Looking forward, going beyond that, I know, because when I came in recently, we were talking about it, but I know that this year you had a number of applicants to US universities and even some children considering universities in Europe. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about how Wetherby Senior is supporting the children with their US admissions and university applications in general.
I think that's a really good question, and one that I feel quite proud to answer, actually. As a young school, having been in existence for far fewer years than some of the other schools in and around London, I think we're doing a terrific job in terms of the destinations of our early sets of leavers. And I think that our international exit list very much reflects the diversity of central London and the heritage and interests of our parents. We're now into our third set of leavers, and we've had well in excess of 30 offers from US universities over the last couple of years, from Harvard, Brown, Berkeley, NYU. We've sent a boy on a sports scholarship. We've had people go to Chicago, Notre Dame, a really impressive breadth of American universities. We have sent boys off to European universities as well as in the main, UK Russell Group universities. And I think that's a terrific job well done from the sixth form team. The sixth form is led by Mrs. Didat, who works tirelessly with the boys to ensure they're appropriately supported. She is rapidly becoming something of an expert on European university admissions. And we work with a specialist company to support boys through their American applications to ensure that, for example, their counselor references that are so important in the American application system really are first class. And I think the numbers of offers that the boys are receiving reflect the quality of support and provision that's on offer there. So I think that destinations is a very compelling list for us as a newer school, and it speaks to me about the quality that's on offer here.
And the diverse range of options that you're considering. What do you consider are the benefits? I mean, obviously you are an all-boys school. What are the benefits of sending a boy to Wetherby Senior?
So what I see in the classrooms here and in single-sex education environments is an opportunity for young people to flourish as themselves in a less inhibited fashion, and to grow into their best possible selves, to focus on their work, to feel that they can contribute in class, to feel supported. Think about the idea that we would consider ourselves to be experts in boys' education, that what we provide is specifically tailored. We think very carefully now about things like modern masculinity and what it means to be a young man growing up in the 21st century. And what are those challenges? And how can we tailor our provision, particularly around more complex and contemporary topics to do with relationships, for example? So I think the benefits we see are in the educational offer that we can provide. And I suppose the related side of the coin there in your question about single sex is about how do we offer opportunities to engage with girls for kind of broader social mixing. And one of the things that continues for us to go from strength to strength is our relationship with Queen's College. Queen's College is just around the corner from us here on Harley Street. And this year, our year 12s, so our lower six, have a weekly shared lecture programme. And they rather enjoyably have a kind of home and away fixture. So on a week A Monday, all of the Queen's year 12 come here for a lecture. On a week B Monday, all of our boys go round to Queen's. We are also running Model United Nations and Young Enterprise and orchestra and climbing and taekwondo and some drama with Queen's. So it's almost a case that we're able to have our cake and eat it here, that we have a wonderful setup for the boys, but also almost on our doorstep, opportunities to do partnership working with another local girls' school.
And I think I remember us discussing that when I came in, and they actually all get along very well, don't they, in the sessions?
It's been really enjoyable to see. And I've dropped in to see some of the lectures and watched some of the young enterprise companies attempting world domination with their ideas. And it all seems to be going rather well.
Whilst you're based in central London, I know that I've seen recently photographs of your new spin studio, but you do offer a very wide range of sports and access to sports, even though they're not necessarily on site. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we are slightly TARDIS-like here on site, in so much as you wouldn't know it from the outside. We have a full fitness suite and we have a spin studio. We now also are adding to that a boxercise studio and a yoga studio. And we offer table tennis coaching on site. So for a compact central London site, we have a lot of good quality provision on site already. Locally to us, boys swim and climb and play basketball and badminton and taekwondo. And we then take the boys out to the Ealing Trailfinders Sports Club, which is just out at Ealing, and it's a professional rugby club. But we've got a terrific tie-in with them. We have exclusive use of all of their facilities every afternoon. And they have rugby pitches, tennis courts, football pitches, cricket pitches, cricket nets, and now a brand new indoor facility. So given our location, the boys are very well provided for indeed.
As we move out of the pandemic, what aspects of school life are you looking forward to reintroducing or celebrating at Wetherby Seniors?
I think the most important thing, or the thing that I'm looking forward to most, is the proper reintroduction of trips and visits and expeditions. Some of those things that when we think back to our own experiences of school, and when you talk to children when they are leaving school, it's often that trip to France, the expedition to America, the languages exchange that really sits with them as a time that was a kind of formative experience. And I think as we come out of the pandemic and we move into a phase of being able to reanimate those programs, that really will enrich the educational offer. And I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into that personally next year and going on some of the trips and seeing what the boys get up to and being able to offer these things.
And I imagine your open days are already very active, aren't they?
Yes, they are indeed. We already have a date in the diary for October next year, I think. But if you go along to our website, you can have a look and the dates will be there. We also see people regularly for visitors mornings through the year. So if people want to get in touch and they want to come round and have a look and a tour, to have a prefect or a member of the sixth form tour them round and to meet with the staff, they are very welcome indeed to get in touch.
Fantastic. I'm sure people will be. Thank you so much, Joe, for your time. I know that you're incredibly busy, and it's been wonderful to hear a little bit more about Wetherby Senior School. Thank you.
Thank you very much.